Good evening, everyone. My name is Akila Wallace, and I'm the founding chair of Heritage Giving Fund. Heritage Giving Fund was founded in August 2017 during Black Philanthropy Month. Yes, it is Black Philanthropy Month right now. And the mission of Heritage is to encourage philanthropy in the Black community to contribute in a strategic and meaningful way, and to bring a new source of funding to nonprofit organizations serving Black women and girls here in the state of Texas. We are a collective of nearly 60 Black women right now who are pooling our resources together for intentional investments in Black women-led organizations. We are deeply committed to changing the trajectory of funding that is being invested in Black women's leadership, as well as the way that we contribute to narrative change and ensuring that Black people collectively are seen and heard and respected for our historic and present day contributions to not only the philanthropic industry, but also to the greater community at large. And so we are so grateful for all of you who are joining us this month for this dynamic conversation with our wonderful speaker, Kristina Dove. However, before we get to Kristina, I would like to welcome my dear co-conspirer and dear friend in the movement and just personally, Dr. Francois Booker-Drew, who is one of our co-founders and our grants manager.
Akila, thank you. And I am just honored to be able to co-labor with you in this work. And so tonight I am so blessed to be able to introduce our amazing speaker. Kristina serves on our grant committee in Heritage, and this is an opportunity through this workshop series to highlight the gifts and talents and the brilliance of our membership. And so Kristina tonight is going to talk to you about Not Your Average Debrief, reflective practice in nonprofit and community work. Kristina was born in Dallas and has resided in the Duncanville area since. She graduated from Duncanville High School and then went on to complete her college work at the University of Houston main campus. Houston was the birthplace of Kristina's passion for working with youth. She has now been active in the nonprofit world in this capacity for more than 15 years, which lends to her strong drive for community impact and uplift. In February of 2020, Kristina decided to turn her nonprofit dreams into a reality and create her own consulting firm, Community Power Consulting, where she delivers planning, strategy, and coaching for corporate, nonprofit, and civic organizations who are meeting critical needs in the communities of color in the Dallas area. Kristina believes that through service, building authentic relationships and community connectivity, impact and real change can occur. Kristina's community engagement caught worldwide attention in 2017 when she served as one of the lead organizers for the Breakfast with Dads event that happened at Billy Earl Dade Middle School. This event received critical acclaim for the authentic and organic way Dove engaged the entire Dallas community through a Facebook post that went from a request for 50 volunteer dads to having 600 of them showing up the day of the event. This story kicked off 2018 as the Feel Good, Do Good year. Kristina currently serves as a member of Heritage Giving Circle, a new member of the Priscilla Art Club of Dallas, board president for the Learning Paradigm, and a member of the Junior League of Dallas's Community Advisory Board. She has also been named Dallas's top 40 under 40 in business by the Dallas Business Journal. I've known Kristina for years and she is amazing. And so I am just honored, delighted, and pleased to welcome her to speak and share her brilliance with you tonight. Kristina, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Booker-Drew. Thank you, Akila. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you, Monica, Shalandria, and Kelly for joining us tonight. I am so happy to be here with you all. We are going to have a conversation. I do not want to talk at you. I want y'all to talk with me. Not Your Average Debrief, reflective practice is all about you. So we're going to talk a lot about ourselves tonight, how we take reflective practice and use it in our everyday lives and our work. So if you don't mind, I'll jump right in. If all minds are clear, I'm gonna hop right in. All right, I'm gonna start from the beginning here. So y'all have, I had such a great introduction there by Dr. Brooke Drew. I am Christina Dove of Community Power Consulting, a firm I created right at the height of the pandemic. So here I am still standing by the grace of God. And so I'm happy to actually be presenting to you all on behalf of Community Power Consulting tonight. So why are we here? So oftentimes we hear about being reflective in our day-to-day lives, especially now. We hear a lot about, taking time out, and the list goes on for things that we are encouraged to do for ourselves. A lot of people have begun to get deep in the practice of yoga, and we know that yoga is all about reflection. But where I found reflection and my meditative yoga practices to be so valuable and so effective was in my community work. And so today I want to talk about how usually reflection is something that's just tried here and there, and there's really no intentionality behind it. And I want to discuss today how we can build in time to our projects, our initiatives, our events, our everyday work, so that we put some thoughtfulness and some real personal, a little bit of personal strategy behind the work that we do. The way that we will activate reflection, and we'll go through this today, is through self-awareness, mission awareness, thoughtfulness, intentionality, and activation. But before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about how this work came to me. So, I'm a little too far. So around 2011, I received a job where I was managing lots of people, managing staff that I had doing kind of admin programmatic work. And then I had the outreach people that were out really working with kids, working with families. And although we were in the same atmosphere on a daily basis, our experiences, the way that we received things, reacted to things, was all we experienced those things very differently. And as a leader, that became, I saw tension brewing within my team because of those differences. When really there are commonalities that were very much alike, but the differences were in the experiences. And so as a leader, I needed to figure out, how do I take everyone's experiences, everyone's feedback, and thoughtfully apply that to the work that we were doing, or at least, if nothing else, let my team member know that they were heard, that they were seen, that their feedback and opinions were valuable. And I needed to be able to do this on a regular basis. If I wanted to create buy-in and create a team that would work hard, a team that would enjoy coming to work, and ultimately a team that would enjoy working with and for me. I needed to put these things into place for my team to feel safe and heard. So that is kind of how I came to reflection as a leader, and why I feel so passionate about embedding reflection into your leadership work. So we'll cover these 5 things as we go throughout this presentation. But before we do that, I want to know from the ladies that are here with me right now, where does reflection live in your everyday life? And maybe think about 2 ways. Well, no, let's start with this. Where does reflection live in your everyday life? Just how do you reflect? And when I say how does it live in your everyday life, what is it that you do to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the beginning of your day, the end of your day? Do you take that time for yourself? And if so, what does that look like? And if you don't do it, just say, you know what, Kristina, I need to, and I haven't done it, but I want to, and I need to. So if you could just put that in the chat or come off of mute. I really love when people talk to me. So if y'all want to come off of mute and let's talk, let's talk.
Well, thank you for your time this evening, Kristina. I think my reflection time is when I'm in the shower, because I find myself just letting the water run, and sometimes I don't even know how long I'm in there, but I'll just let it run and just like hit me from my throat down, and I'll just stand there. And so I think for me, my reflection time is just when I'm in the shower.
Yeah, absolutely. Shower time is the best time. Little do people know, the best ideas come in the shower. You can think. The only thing that gets me when I'm in the shower is like I forget when I get out and I haven't written anything down. I'm like, I need a piece of paper. I need to write this down. Yes, reflection in the shower. And then Kelly, it's often when you're walking. Tell me about if you don't mind coming off of mute, Kelly, and talking to me just a little bit about the peace that comes with walking and why that space is easy for you to reflect in.
I don't know if I would say peace. I walk because I need to, not because I want to. So I think often I'm trying to distract myself from this task that I'm doing for my well-being. And so that's where I get a lot of ideas. Sometimes I listen to podcasts or just things that will edify me and kind of build me up. And sometimes it's just, oh, I could do this way, or just feeling my body, and I'll notice like where there's been an ache that I didn't notice before and something I need to pay attention to. So I just think being present in my mind and in my body is what's happening, even though I'm resistant to the activity.
Awesome. Absolutely. Miss Monica Brown, you said for you mostly during prayer. Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, Miss Monica.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say it's usually the most quiet time of my day. And so while I'm thinking, or with me, prayer and meditation almost go hand in hand. So when I have the quiet time, not only to pray, right? Because I think for me, praying is very active and should be focused. I'm not saying that it always happens this way for me, but it's a bit more focused than meditation. I think meditation and prayer run hand in hand for me, but the meditation part gives me an opportunity to think about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, if I'm doing something to anyone, or if I have feelings about a particular thing.
That's perfect. That's you almost just covered the whole presentation. We can all go home now. We can
Don't say that.
That's it, Monica. You did the presentation for me. No, but honestly, thank y'all for that feedback. And for me, I'll share mine. I like to cut everything off. So I have times at home where like everybody's gone to work or school and it's just me, and I won't turn the TV on or music or anything. It's just something about that dead silence where I can like hear my thoughts. And so those are times, and sometimes when I'm riding in the car, if I'm having some car time by myself, I won't even turn on any music because sometimes I just need to like hear myself think. And not, my mom always says, talk to yourself, but just don't start answering. So I talk to myself a little bit too, like, should I be doing that? Does that work for me? Does that fit my life? I'm thinking all those questions and trying not to answer because my mama said that means you're crazy. So I'm like, oh, don't answer yourself, Kristina. But that really does help me out so much when it comes to reflection. So thank y'all. What I want us to do is maybe think about 2 intentional ways we can think to add reflection into our lives. So when I say think about intentional ways, what would it take to add like an additional 5 to 10 minutes to your morning or evening schedule to reflect, to the point where you can reflect and then write something down? So one of the points of reflection is that you don't lose what you've reflected on. So you want to be able to reflect, have something to go back to, because as we build throughout this presentation, you'll want to be able to sometimes share back your reflection, because it may help the people that are around you. So as we're building out here, you don't have to respond to this right now, but let's think about 2 ways we can add reflection to our everyday life, either on the front end or the back end. And I would just start with maybe thinking about a 5 minutes front or back end of your day where you can just reflect on the day and write something down, even if it's just like 1 sentence. And then we'll see, I'm going to tell you why as we keep going. There's a brief pause in the presentation. All right. So next, we're going to talk about mission awareness. So mission awareness, I like to talk about personal missions. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Y'all excuse my technical difficulties. I just learned how to work a computer like last week. So it's coming back to me. So mission awareness. As we talk about reflection, it's very personal. And so when I think about community work and what's going on in our society today, we have a lot of people, and some of us, myself included, are guilty of just working. We get a project, we work it. We have meetings we need to do, we work it. And we're just going. The term workhorse comes to mind when I think about especially community people. I always used to say in my last nonprofit that I feel like we were like the ER of nonprofit, like everything felt like an emergency. And that's usually how community and civic engagement, things come to us, and it's like, we got to do it, and we got to do it right now. And sometimes we've taken on things, I know I have, that don't always align with who I am personally. And so those are things that I've had to reflect on and say, that really didn't fit who I am. I did the work. The work just didn't feel 100% like something I should do. And it started making me think about my own personal mission. So my question to the group is, like, who has done their own personal mission statement? Just by show of hands. Okay. Akila, I can't see. Monica and Kelly, can y'all put in the chat for me if y'all have personal mission statements? Don't put a sad face, Monica. It's okay. Okay. So, yeah, mine is a little outdated too, but let me check this one more. You can't see me. I can't see you, Akila. So personal mission statements are, and I'm gonna just give y'all, I'm gonna give you some notes to my friends on the line who don't have their personal mission statements. Personal mission statements are you. It's just about who you are. In your statement, you're gonna be true to you. It can be short. It can be about you personally, or it can be about the organization you serve, but it defines who you are as a person. And it defines your purpose. So who you are as a person, if you just want some notes on writing your personal mission statement, who you are as a person, what's your purpose, how will you pursue that purpose, and why it matters. And before we leave, I can put that in the chat for y'all. But who you are as a person, what's your purpose, how will you pursue that purpose, and why is that important? So what the personal mission statement will help you do as it relates to reflection, it will help you, number one, identify what you're committed to doing and what you're committed to not doing. It'll help you identify if your beliefs align with the work you do every day. And it'll help you identify how these aspects of work are affecting you in your personal life. So I had to identify with my personal mission statement and the nonprofit organization I was working with. And I needed to do that pretty often, just to make sure that my personal mission and the mission of the work that I was doing was always in alignment. And sometimes we can feel out of alignment, we can feel overstressed, overwhelmed, and easily we can reflect and tie and connect some of those dots to just being out of alignment with our own personal missions and the work that we're doing. It's not to say the work is wrong. It's not to say our personal mission statements are wrong, but it's to say there is an alignment issue at times. And having that personal mission statement, for me, it keeps me in line with who I am and the work that I'm going to do. So now as a business owner, I can say, I'm not going to take that contract because it doesn't align with my mission. Because my personal mission now is falling right in line with the mission of my business. Because it's my business, it's my mission, I can always make sure those things are aligned. When I was working for a nonprofit organization and I still had my personal mission, luckily enough, the work oftentimes definitely aligned. And when the work didn't align, I was able to have a direct supervisor or someone that I could go talk to about the misalignment. And maybe it was just that particular project just wasn't for me. And so having that personal mission statement on hand with you all the time is also a point of reflection to really help you stay in alignment with the work that you're doing. Any questions about personal missions? Questions about how to write it? Why you need it? Anything? All right. Next time we meet, I'm going to be asking Shalandra, Kelly, and Monica, where are y'all's personal mission statements? I'm going to feel like I'm going to see y'all again. I'm going to be like, did we get it done? All right. Next. Oh, Monica, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, the mission statement is personal, right? Like you don't share it with anyone. Or should you?
It is personal. I've known people to share their personal mission statements, like if the time presents itself. But like I don't go around sharing it with everybody. I don't, Akila, what's your feedback on your personal mission statement? Do you share it out widely?
No, I haven't shared it out widely. However, pieces of it show up in, say, my bio or, other written or verbal speeches, so pieces get out here in the public. People just may not know that is representative of my mission.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's the alignment. So the alignment is, Akila just kind of gave us the perfect definition and the perfect example of what alignment looks like. So if your personal mission statement is aligning with the work that you do, it'll naturally just show up in the things you say. Like I always say, authentic relationships, making sure that you're doing authentic community building and engagement. And a piece of my personal mission statement is about authenticity. So it's gonna show up without you even reading your full personal mission statement. Awesome, thank you, Monica. The next point of activation is being thoughtful and intentional, which really deals a lot with the people that we're in front of, the people that we're serving, the people that are serving with us. How are they feeling about our thoughtfulness and intentionality with reflection? And that can happen in a couple of different ways. Ladies on the line, how many of you manage people? If you can put it in the chat. How many of you manage people and how many people are you managing right now? Not anymore, okay. Okay, Miss Kelly says her direct report just left. Akila has 9 staff, 7 board, and Shalandra has interns. So we are all affecting and impacting lives on an everyday basis. If you have any touch points with people aside from yourself, you are affecting them in some way and impacting their lives. How do you think, and this can just be a really short answer in the chat, how do they know that you hear them? What is it that you do to inform your team, your board, your interns, that you hear them? What is that thing where they know that Akila, Monica, Kelly, Shalandra, that they have been heard? And if you don't manage people, what would be that thing that you would do to ensure that your team knew that they were being heard? Okay, Monica says she asked. Shalandra, I always ask for their feedback and include them in decisions. Yes. And I'm just gonna look at your faces here, or you can do a reaction. I asked, how do you do that? And you said you asked. If I was to ask one of your team members, board, etc., do you feel like they would say yes? Like, do you feel like Akila hears you? Do you feel like your direct report hears you? Do you think they would say yes? You can just nod your head, give a reaction. Awesome. Now we're moving on to let me check the chats real quick. Community organizing. Akila says, community organizing involves regular and intentional one-on-one meetings with team members. We are trained on deep listening practices. Yes. And Kelly King says, yes. Awesome. So to Akila's point, showing up for your community. This is where I always get the most kind of pushback, or this bubbles up quite a bit here in this space when I ask, how does the community know? So usually when I'm doing a workshop like this, there's several organizations in the room and different levels of leadership and program developers and such. And my question is, how does the community know you hear them? So we're serving the community, we're delivering resources to communities. How do they know, or how are they heard? And what does that look like? So we know that we're reflecting for ourselves, for our team members, but we also need a point of reflection for the communities that we serve. How, we did a backpack drive, we did a food drive. Do we know for sure that that's what that community wanted, and how? like, did we talk to somebody in the community? Did we talk to like someone who lives there? Or did we just talk to a council member? Like actual community. How do we ensure that the community knows that we hear them? So if y'all can help me out in the chat, we talked about your teams. Now for the communities that you serve, what do you do within your organization or within your purview to ensure that the community knows that you hear them? Surveys and relationships. Absolutely. Thank you, Monica. Yes. So, and does anybody want to come off of mute to talk about showing up for the community? Okay.
I will. Well, with my employer, I work at UT Southwestern, and we are getting ready to open a campus at Redbird.
Oh.
So last year, this was before COVID, we had a couple of work groups with the community at the community room inside of Redbird. So during those times, we did ask the community what services that they wanted to see at the Redbird campus. And we had several of them actually.
That is the perfect example, Shalandra, of what you do to hear the community. So many times we're going out, we're doing things, and we haven't talked to them, or we talk to them after. So we deliver a service and then we ask them after the service has been delivered, how did that work for you? How did you like that? And so what in these talks and these workshops, what I'm pushing organizations to do, it doesn't seem like us here in this room, because we're activating and putting those things in place, is to really start on the front end with the community. And sometimes it's hard to get into communities. It's hard to find the right person that can get you in, but there's always that that mother, that elder, that person in the community that everybody respects that can help you get into that community to ask them what is it that they need. And so that's what we're talking about here with thoughtfulness and intentionality, is being intentional about talking to our communities on the front end. Akila says, our staff and core leaders engage in multiple conversations with community members, conducting surveys and house meetings to listen for their needs and the issues that directly impact them, as well as for their recommended solutions. That's how you solve community issues, is allowing the community to solve their own problems. We can help, but if we have them at the table to help with those solutions, usually those solutions 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10 will stay embedded if they're solutions that they've come up with themselves. So I always want to lift up the thoughtfulness and intentionality, not only for our teams and making sure that they feel heard, embedding things like Debrief. The name of this workshop, Not Your Average Debrief, was created out of a conversation with my team, because we didn't do just regular debriefs. We would sit in a room and we would, put things on a wall, what we saw, how we saw people engage at a particular event, or how board members or members of the community came to an open house and how they felt. So we took Debrief to another level. And that's all this is when you're talking and reflecting with people, with team members, with people in the community, that you just take it to that next level of really being thoughtful and intentional. I love what Akila said about house meetings. I used to do social work, and one of the best things of that job that I enjoyed doing, and most of my peers hated it, was I loved going to my students and families' houses. because there was something about coming into their house, respecting their space, and being okay with being in, not in a school building, not in an office space, but being in on their turf, in their home, in their sacred space. And it would just sometimes open people up to you a little more than they would if they came into your office, or if they came into the building where you're doing the service. And so I love, and I always think being proximate and being close to people really allows you to build that rapport and that trust. And none of this work that we are talking about with our teams or our community can be done without establishing that trust. And reflection is all about putting in steps and strategies so that your team and your community also will build trust with you. We're having that pause again. All right. So I have some things for you to take home. I know Akila is recording this, but I can also email this to you all as needed. But I do have a homework activity just out of thoughtfulness and mission alignment. Does your work serve you? And all you're doing is just making a list of the work that you perform. And on an opposing list, you're going to write down your personal core values, which also are fueled from your mission. So that thing and the things you write in that 1 to 2 sentences also are filled with things called your core values. They're the things that drive you, that move you. And so I like to do this with my teams when I first kind of get with a team, like, hey, write down your personal core values, and then I'm going to write down the work that you have to perform. And the hope is that you have lots of connectors. There should be lots of things connecting what you do in your work and what you're doing in your personal core values. The more you connect, I promise, the happier you'll be at work. If you're not, you can come back and like tell me, no, that's not true, Kristina. I had a lot of connectors and I'm still very unhappy, and we will talk. So you can take this home with you and do it with your teams. I do it with myself every now and then, just to like make sure I'm in the right space. It's like a pros and cons list, but just a little bit more fun with connecting those dots. This is a quote from I did a presentation with a school district about reflection, and this was the feedback from one of the community members. We do a lot of reflection on data, but how often do we give educators, social workers, civic engagement people time to reflect on their work? And so the conversation that we were having really resonated with this community member. And she was actually a teacher in Mansfield ISD. And she actually tied reflection of what I was delivering in this workshop to how they spend tons of time reflecting on data. So she said they would have data meetings where all they did was reflect on the data. And she said at no point did they ever stop to talk about like how they got there, how, what attributed along the way to get to these data points. And so she actually took the reflective practice and is implementing that amongst some of her teams and the school leaders to institute on the campuses. Because they spend a lot of time on data. And even working in nonprofit, when I was working for a nonprofit organization, I spent a lot of time digging into data and pulling the data apart and collecting the data. But when it came to spending time on reflecting on the work, that got like just a little bit of time. So really looking at how building in reflection can not only be a leadership point for you, but how others can see this point and take it on. So how to activate some points of reflection. Most of us on this call are already doing small points of reflection, but here's just some ideas. You can host a weekly reflection time for yourself and your team. You can have a plan for the follow-up discussion, take your reflective conclusions and build an action plan. My team really enjoyed when I would take their feedback from reflection and they would actually see it, you know, on a executive meeting docket, or in a piece of strategy for strategic planning, or on a board sheet of updates and notes, on a board report out. So my team really enjoyed being able to reflect and actually see their reflection come out in black and white. And share your plan and allow for at least one opportunity for feedback. So another point out of reflection that I would do is, if I had a really strong team lead that had a really good point or had a pitch for a project, I would invite that team member into the executive meeting to present. So instead of me presenting on their work or their idea, I would invite them in to present their own ideas. And that can work at any level. That can work for your board members. So I know sometimes we think, oh, board members are kind of just at their own level, but there are board members that want to be activated, they want to be recognized, and they would love to see their ideas come to fruition in black and white and being presented. So this can work at all levels: team, board, interns, just giving people an opportunity to really see their reflection come to light. And then put the plan into action and rinse and repeat. Like, you can just do this all the time. I would host weekly reflection meetings with my team. They would be like 45-minute sprints. They didn't have to be long and drawn out. It didn't have to be necessarily a retreat. It was something that we could do every week. And then some of the benefits, and these are some of my own like personal benefits that I saw out of reflective practice. I had team buy-in, value add to the work. So it wasn't always as a leader, you know, me and my ideas. I could easily bring in and get other ideas. So there was value added to the work. Accountability, like I said earlier on, reflective practice gives team buy-in. So they start to feel they want to come to work. They want to work for you. They're accountable to what you're asking them to do. You'll have greater productivity and really authentic and anecdotal evidence and reporting data. So not only do you just have the numbers, if you can build in reflection to your works, your projects, your initiatives, you also can have not only numbers, but good anecdotal data to come out of things from the people that you're working with. And then this is another activity that you can just take with you. What was the last big project or program, event or initiative that you did? What did you think about it? Did you give yourself time to think about it, or did you just finish it and it was done and you moved on to the next thing? And then how did you feel about what you did? So this activity is just really a quick check-in that you can take with you to really think about anything that you're doing in work, whether it be a big event, a big initiative. Just a quick check-in with you and your team is always and will always be helpful. And I think that's all the slides I had, ladies. That's just me right there. And
This was awesome.
oh, okay, yeah, that was it. That's me, and thank you.
This was awesome. Are there any questions that you may have for Kristina at this time? Monica says, this has been great.
Oh, thank you so much, Monica. I appreciate that.
I just want to make sure you're not going to circle back and check our homework this next week or anything anytime soon.
Now I just might. I have y'all's information. I might just send y'all a little ping, a little email, be like, hey, y'all were in that session. Did y'all get that personal mission statement written?
I'm really going to work on that one. I think for me, that was really helpful to hear. I'd like to connect it to the work that's meaningful to me. I never thought about like joining the two. So that was really helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm so glad I can help. This has been a good 20 an interesting 24 hours for me. So that is just really great to hear, Monica.
Kristina,
thank you.
Do you have any recommendations for folks who aren't the decision maker, but want to bring these practices into their organization?
Absolutely. So actually when I started this, I had a team, but I wouldn't consider myself a decision maker. I could make some decisions with my team, but I wasn't like a big decision maker. And what I did, I had my direct supervisor was, someone I could go and talk to. So if you have a direct report or someone that is open to your ideas, I would pitch reflection meetings, and you don't even have to do them every week, but maybe just ask like, hey, bi-weekly, could I host these reflection meetings? And kind of, you can use my PowerPoint. Like I said, I'll have Akila share it with you. And I would use those 5 points of activation as kind of your carrot or your reason for why this should be a priority. And I would pitch it like that. So I would pitch it to your direct report or somebody that has an open ear for new ideas. And I would pitch maybe on a bi-weekly basis or a monthly basis that you would just be interested in hosting a reflection meeting with your team or whatever said team is, and the why. You have, a few points here in this PowerPoint that could tell you why. And you'll have my information if you need more language. I'm happy to help you with that as well. Email me. I definitely, like, if when you get ready to pitch it, feel free to email me and I can definitely, help you wherever I can with language and whatever you need.
Kristina, thank you. You were awesome. I'm actually going to take some things back. So thank you.
Thank you.
So Akila has some closing remarks.
Yes, good evening, and thank you so much, Kristina, for your leadership, your expertise, your wisdom, and your time this evening, as I know that you are trying to juggle a lot this week. So we appreciate you and your commitment and showing up for this moment with us. So thank you for the sacrifice. Also, I want to thank Dr. François Booker-Drew for her leadership with our grants team and the intentionality of these monthly workshops that Heritage Giving Fund is offering to the community. So thank you to all of our Heritage Giving Fund members for your investments of your time, your talents, your treasures, your testimonies and your truths, all the T's. We thank all of you for your support, as well as for our friends of the Giving Circle for your financial contributions in support of our events and activities. But lastly, I just will ask, and as well as, I got to thank our participants today. So thank you for showing up this evening and engaging in this really much needed conversation and dialogue. So for me, I'm sitting here like, yes, absolutely. So thank you to all of you. Lastly, I'll just, ask and invite the community to this recording, we'll be seeing it later. It will be available on the Heritage Giving Fund YouTube channel. So please go and subscribe. We have a few other recordings out there that you probably would need to check out that could absolutely be beneficial to you, especially for those who are leading in the nonprofit sector, and more specifically, those who are Black women and girls who are leading in the sector. Also, we invite you to follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then also go to our website to sign up for emails. If you go to heritagegivingfund.org, scroll to the bottom of our homepage, you can sign up for our email list. And then also while you're there, click on the events link to see when the other workshops are taking place. We have a variety of events specifically for Black Philanthropy Month. So next Tuesday, August 27th, we will be hosting a wonderful conversation and panel with a diverse group of Black OBGYNs and clinical technicians with Abide Women's Health Services here in Dallas, Texas, engaging in conversation around fibroids and maternal health, something that's really timely, important, and even life-bringing and life-saving for Black women and girls. So please go to the event page so that you can get that information and register. This is free and it is virtual. So please make sure to join us next Tuesday. And then the following week on August 25th, our co-founder and co-chair, Dr. Halima Leek Francis, has put together a dynamic panel of leaders, including one of our founding members, Kimberly O'Neill, and other leading experts in philanthropy. We'll be talking about funding equity in this industry. So go to a site, heritagegivingfund.org/events, and RSVP for all of them. They're all free, they're all virtual, and we have some really powerful speakers and discussions coming up. So follow us, engage. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss this. And then also we want to just, recognize the shoulders from which we stand on, the giants, the co-architects of Black Philanthropy Month. It's because of you that many of us are continuing to lead boldly and engaging in philanthropic work, charitable work, as well as intentional narrative work in uplifting our Black people and communities. And then also August 28th is Give 828, hosted by Young Black and Giving Institute. So please, if you are a Black-led and Black benefiting nonprofit organization, go to give828.org. I think you have until the 13th or maybe even today. Oh, Lord. The deadline is like right now. Go and register if you haven't already, so that you can have your organization as part of the largest Black Day of Giving, so that you can be crowdfunding and making asks of the community to support your really important work. So Heritage will be listed there as well for those who are interested in partnering with our members and friends with an investment in a gift of any size, so that we can continue to provide grants to Black women-led nonprofits here in North Texas. Please do. We really do appreciate all of the support collectively since 2017. This is our anniversary month. Since 2017, we collectively have raised and granted over $100,000 to I believe it's about 16 different nonprofits here in this area. So we want to continue to build and grow and invest. So please partner with Heritage, join us, follow the movement, go to blackphilanthropymonth.com, check out the events that are taking place throughout this nation in highlighting this really important narrative and opportunities for all of us in the industry, whether working or serving or just living as a Black person. So thank you again to all of you. So appreciate you and all the best. Have a wonderful night and Godspeed.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Good
Good night.
night.
Thank you all.